Let's get it. Let's see what we're looking at here. Good day. Kim Folk, Brazil, Omar. Servant. Saying how y'all doing. Then we're getting back into our zone again. We want to say big ups to the Jesuits. We want to say big ups to the Jesuit priests. How you doing? The College of Loyola. How you doing? Notre Dame. Brigham Young. All the Catholic schools, colleges, academias. And all the Greco Catholic schools. And all the Ruthians and Barbarian Catholic schools, and you know the other like. Good day to you. Good day, good day, good day. Something I love, what I love about dogs, pets in general. Animals all have a desire for one thing. Is to be alone as the sole leader. To be alone is one thing and be a part of a bigger picture. But to be alone as the sole leader without the inkling of how you got here on the planet. That's how you can tell the difference between a man and a human. A man knows exactly he could never do things by himself because he didn't come to this planet by himself. Because obviously he comes from a man and a woman, and that's how he got here, because he sees himself as a baby and as a man creating himself over again. And so that's what a man sees by nature. It doesn't take too much energy for that. But if you're a dog, a cat, a rat, a frog, a bacteria, a conscious virus, or even in what they would see in Springerfield, Jerry Springer was really a virus to the minds of America. I don't know if y'all caught that segment. They showed that when Jerry Springer died, they showed who he really was. He was a bacteria to the brains. He was a dirt spot to the golf course to the minds of humanity. Yeah, he was a parasite. But don't take my word for it. As Ignatius Loyola to combat Protestantism. See Jesus. Their enemies of both Catholic and Protestantism lands accused them of beliefs that justify the means, hence the sense, crafty or dissembling person, deceitful, fox trickery, designing, fashion designing. I mean, he can design himself as a Jew, Jesus, Socrates. He's a shapeshifter. And insinuating, because if you look at the word insinuating, it says he's in sin, and you are aiding and abating in it when you see Jesus. 1540s. Now, unless you are in Africa, 1540s should not have an application to your history. 1540s should have no bearing on your medulla. Mary Bosch, I'm going to bring this up because somehow this battle against this, I'm not going to say all Jesuits are evil. Like, I'm not going to say all black people are evil. See? But we know there's a bunch of black people that's evil, and we damn sure know there's a bunch of Jesuits that's evil. Can you imagine if you had a black Jesuit Jew that's evil, wicked, deceitful, designing, and in his sin, aiding and abetting to keep doing it? In the name of black Jesus, Yahshua Shishimiyah, and he puts on this great purple outfit with his purple gang, and they have their yellow fringes like the French flag to the American flag, and we pledge allegiance under the Pope that he has the power over our version of Christianity in Jesus and that. And that we designed the Ten Commandments in there, but not with the Ten Commandments written on our hearts, but the 10 shames on the hearts of humanity. I want to thank the elders in Homewood, the scholars, man, this quiet scholars. When you see me, please do not be quiet. I want to hear these stories, man, because into a bigger picture when I get visions like Mary Bashi. Now, I don't know what Mary Bashi got to do with me. For all I know, I got a cousin Mary. I got some aunts that look goddamn just as pale as her ass, Mary Bashi. Which led me to this photo. Oh, wrong photo. Bang. Let me blow this up for you. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this, I want to make a point to some folks who, when I tell you, when I come around, shit happens. So remember when I told y'all what they do? So they did that. The memorial organizers requested donation on of Mari Boshny of what? St. Jude for cures, prevention, pediatric. They raised $325. But now we have to ask St. Jude, is he St. Jesuit? Is he deceitful, designing, and insinuating and is loyalty been changed to Loyola? It should have been Ignatius' loyalty, but he said, nah, I'm going to take Loyola. As in Yola. Who get that? Yola? What? What do Yola mean? You only live once. YOLO. Latin phrase, D&M, seize the day. La Lola. And I believe La Lola is a Spanish Latin college where there's majority pale-skinned Latinos and Latinas who look as if, quote-unquote, are the original Mexicans. But that's a different conversation. But I said, Yola. Y'all listen to rap music. What does Yola mean in Spanish? Y'all. What's up, yo? Yola. violet flower. Girl's name, the violet flower, purple, not hot and cold. We got that. Sailing ship. Slavery. Y'all, the feminine y'all equals yate. Like, I know some yate families. So here is your kingdom. North Carolina. Yo, the slang said to be from a blend of Spanish to yo, hola. As in, yo, el. Joel. Yo, la. Yo, God. So if you go to what? Le Lola, which I've seen it, so I don't know where I lost it. Ah. See? Low God. Ignatius the low God. See? Low God. Net. Low God. La. Or low God L. Low God of pouring. Or no pouring of God to combat the Protestants. See, Jesus. Jesus had no God to what? Come back to the Protestant movement. That's why we're here having this conversation about who? Mary Boston. Who so happened to be talking about what? The prophet Jude. Let's wonder, what do Prophet Jude and Mary Boston's death, whether it's, I don't know. All I know, I was in jail for innocent shit. I ain't did shit. But fuck it, I'm there to learn. I empty myself. I ain't got shit. I can't never keep shit. Fuck it. Straight up. Can't keep it anyway. So, emptied my emotions, emptied myself, and made room for something that was higher than you, me, and anything else y'all talk about. And lo and behold, I told the chick that I was, when I got the vision, I already knew it was broken up. In fact, I knew my visions confirmed what I know already, which I confirm the visions, what I know by making videos like this. So I'm going to tell you what I know, and then confirmed by the gods and your Bibles and your witchcraft and demons, and I guess you would say that King Solomon shit. So peep this. And it came to pass. Dictators' obsession for control over you is turning into a mental health, a mental illness, or lead to their death. Mary Boston, dead. St. Jude, Joel, Loyola, a low God or a no God, a no point of the God, because Loyola, if you go Lo Yoel, as in Joel, because Joel and Yola is like saying Yo Allah, believe it or not. They both mean God, but since you have a low God, meaning a devil, Ignitus, fire, Ignitus, hell, Ignitus, Greek, Ignitus, philosophy, Ignitus, Greco-Roman, Ignitus, England, Ignitus, St. Jude Children's Hospital research. So let's do some research on the cure of the Children's Hospital. Remember, this is a military. St. Jude Children's Military seeks to advance and Proteus. Because that's what they would say when you come to saying the cures and what makes you sick. And Proteus. And means of prevention for pediatric to keep them from curing what? Proteus. Or these proteins. That's why they want to do it. Your children's thymus juice and the fibers in her chest. And I, you know what? I just learned to just, no wonder is a hypothalamus and a thymus. I said, because when I seen two words, hypo and the thymus, I knew there was another one somewhere. When it controls your emotions and your heartbeat. No wonder you get a heart attack or a migraine. You're having mild heart attacks. I don't even know it. Raised. Another that was potentially meaningful to Mary Bosch. Now, let me tell you what happened. Let's take a look at her. Jason King. Memorial created by Jason King. For one king to another king. I hope you might be watching this. So let's investigate some shit. Why we meeting like this? Notice the man's name is King. Mari Bosch. Now, mind you, I had this dream. I knew this demon wanted to come suck me off. Because I'm fresh, my soul is nice, I'm clean. And me being the motherfucker that I was at the time, I said, fuck it. Get sucked off in the midst of me, put some shit together, drink some tea, beer, smoke a blunt. You know what I mean? I'm not saying anything about anybody in particular. So if you happen to see this, don't get your panties up in the bunch, don't call the goons. But there is a similar story if the shoe fit. So this is not about you. This is about Mari Bosch. So when I told this person that, a man told me he had just blah, 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 and I gave a description what he had on. Because I talked to him. I seen him. I'm in jail. I transport. Boom. And bang. I'm talking to him. I'm looking at him. I see the shirt on him. Pittsburgh Steelers. I see some other stuff I don't want to talk about. And it switches. Then there's this little boy. Dark-skinned boy. Let me see. Because I was doing some research. And they had a picture of some guy. Where's he at? This is a picture of Mari Bosch. That ain't no cracker. Something happened. Teach the children. As in Aramaic, teach the children. What is this baby telling me, Mari Bosch? And here, I'm thinking there's some other shit. And there's a woman actually named fucking Mari Bosch. I'm thinking spark plugs. I'm thinking my BMW because somebody took my shit while I was in jail. I'm thinking that the motherfucker that came and got my keys took my car up Lincoln Avenue and parked it like he did everybody else's. I'm thinking that the lady who gave the nigga my keys had some. I'm thinking all this because I'm thinking of Bosch Spark Plus. I'm a German. I like German cars. I said it. Fuck that. I like German cars. There's a reason. Because German got a good knack for taking shit from people that don't know what the fuck to do with it. Like the brains of black people. Hey, you call it what you want. But if this is my Boshny, fam, Jason. Now what's funny about this right here, Jason, look, something was supposed to be a new Jesus birth. This is what I'm getting. Because a spirit says, son, what happened to the baby? Where's this guy? Where's the baby? He's 3 years old now. What do Jason, look, I'm going to have to clear out my whole shit right here for this. Let's see what I got here. No. Yola. Lo Yola. I wonder if this is going to be the modern version of this book, Nicolation. Because that lines up with Loyola Ignatius and the Orthodox Russian Church. Mary and her son Jason on the day of his birth. This was a common Jewish personal name. Check it out. Jason. Check it out. So, this is the language of Mary, her son Jesus, on the day of his birth, according to what? Jesus, the Jesuit order, 1506, and they called him 3 syllables. I East us. Isis. Properly pronounced as 3 syllables. So who is Jesus? But before we get into that, let's see what I got here. Hypocrisy. I was already on it. We're going to get into it. Notice, I see Mary Boshini in my brain. I mean, my vision. And there was a little boy. I'll help you out. The root word is hypo, and we did cry. Alright? Is this God of the Bible a hypocrite? Is this God of the Bible a hypocrite? Yes. Yes. Yes, the biblical God was a hypocrite, but human beings who pretend to speak for God made him seem that way. Take for instance the sermon of Jesus preached. Now, who is God of hypocrisy? God's judgment on the hypocrite makes it clear that God's most severe judgment are reserved for what? Hypocrites. Now, for you were hypocrites in your hearts when you sent me to Yah, your God, saying, pray for us, you're our God. Let that marinate. When you sent me to pray for you, nigga, you are a hypocrite, bitch. Because Mary couldn't have had no son, Jesus, without no penis. You fucking hypocrite. But you're going to have me pray in this name in pure ignorance and darkness and then tell me you love me. You're going to tell me you love me. But we're going to bring Mary with her son Jason on the day of birth to heaven, earth, and life history. That way you have no excuses on the St. Jude Jesuit influence on your emotions and how they attack our hypothalamus that turns into a hippocrates or hippocry. Let's see if I can find that hippocryo. You know what? You're gonna have to go through our videos to get this shit. I'm not reteaching, teaching, and I ain't getting paid shit. Fuck that. Cause now when this comes to pass and shows, there should be a nice fat check some fucking where somewhere, so we can start healing humanity. Alright? Cause my thing is, no, let me shut the fuck up. I'm ahead. Alright, I think I'm up. So now, you are hypocrites in your heart. So whenever time Jeremiah pray, or any prophet of the planet pray for you, whether he's white, black, green, not saying he's white, black, green in heart and culture, but because of how you look at them. We call them the, like the oddball, I like to say what the hell this is. I like to say what the hell this used to say. Blah, blah. I would like to say what the Hill District used to say This is one of the great times to be a sticker ball head. Who remember that HI double? Oh, sticker ball head. Fuck out of here. Sticker ball head. You hypocrites on the new we turned sticker ball heads to a new thing. So in your heart, you ain't. Oh, I'll read it again. For you were hypocrites in your hearts when you sent me to the Most High, your Allah, saying, "Pray for us." To Yah, which is in capital letters, Lord, our low Yola. See, the low Yola, cause you got the tall L, but now you put the little G in that bitch. Now you low, and now your God is low. And that's why you need somebody with what? A capital Lord, with a capital Y-A-H-U. When we say, "Yah, you are our Savior, our rock," what do you want us to do with these niggas? You say nothing, because they ain't true to their heart. Now you want to kill us. Ain't that a bitch? You ain't true to your own heart, but you want to kill somebody. I'm done. There's so many people on this planet that think like you. I couldn't be Abraham sacrificing Isaac in a world like this. Now, slow down, niggas. Because that cracker chick, she just got the death penalty in Texas for killing her baby, talking about the end times prophecy. That's a different story, niggas. That ain't the same story. We ain't got that story to tell. But back to the hypothalamus and hypocrisy and your Crystal Palace. Let's get this up there real quick. Alright. I'm going to show you some flicks. May or may not give you a headache. But I'm going to have to start with, I hope it's here. There it go. We're going to rock with this. This has everything to do with hypocrisy. Now you notice this will spell an alphabet. A. But this is the number 11. So 11 was 8, no. 8 I's 9. H-I-J-K. K. This spells Kabbalah in a binary code. So in your computer and in your medicine, in the binary code of things, the Kabbalah is in your genetic proteins and in your thymus, in your hypothalamus, in your hypocry, or in your cries, or in your tears, in your misery, in your worship, in your prayers that should go to the Most High, but it's going to who? A lower God, who you told can have your misery for free. And as he's getting stronger, you're not getting stronger. In fact, he's leaving you black at heart. He's leaving you black at mind, culture. And then on the other hand, he's leaving you white, where you feel so full of yourself, but you have nothing to stand on. And so that's why they consider you black and blue. Alright? And you are the new purple and green gang. See the purple strip? See the yellow, green, brown, red, death. Your blood ain't hot and cold. Now you're becoming poisoned. Your plasma is being stripped. Now you gain green, you got tattoos, and now you are a disease. Now, as you get your disease, you get your orange belt, which is the new identification for the movie Black is the New Orange. So now that you have mixed up your brain and your whole existence, now that you orange or orangutan, now you're dead. Once the phase touched the blood, the life in the blood, that's why the next color is what? Black. Counting up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dead. And you count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Purple gang. Dead. How we know? Because now you're a zombie. Here's the code. Kabbalah. Kabbalah is the zombie code for what? Let's show you. Here I come, Mary Boshny. Well, this guy we know created Hebrew. Alright? This guy here. So, when you want to know who created modern Hebrew, here's your modern Hebrew daddy. Alright, you Hebrew Israelites. And all the other Shimi Biyama Yama Hashema. Because Joel, as in what? Leola. Let me get that Leola. Leola means low God, because you got what? Let me stop that. Yola. That's what you made Leola a low vibration when you said Yola was crack cocaine. You didn't know you were cursing God and your brother. You hear that, black man? Black drug dealer? Black female drug dealer? Black, if I'm in the movies and I'm still pushing dope, drug dealer? You cursing God when you say, I got that Yola. I got that Yola for you. I got that melt, nigga. Yeah, you cursing the fuck out of God. You're deceitful, designing, in your sin, you're waiting that everybody likes your Jesus piece, and you're what? Hellenized, or your hellish ways. Read it in blue. Don't take my word for it. And what's his proper name? Yeshua. It's not in Shem H medic, but it's in semen medic. Meaning, I created you niggas. I mean, let's just be clear. I'm God, motherfucker, he told you. You see God? Here's God, man. There you go. Hebrew camps. Next. Where you at? How we know? Because here's his name. Elijah, God, what? Zer. Isis, the pearl tongue, or the pearl gay man. Woman get the pearl, the lobster, the man, Poseidon. We're Russian Empire, 1858. He replaced you. We're and Loyola. Ignitus. To ignite. Igna. Ig. Look. This is what you get. Ig. Nah. Ignorant. Why? Because you're deceitful. You're black and ignorant because why? You've been designed by somebody. You're ignorant because you're insinuating that you're the shit. And Atis made you a low, what? Hello, or low God. How we know? God's name Yola. Yola, we came in the name. You didn't know that, did you? Yola, alien. L. Yola, R-E-L. Isis. How they put God. Father the light in the ministry of what? Yola. Ignola. Nolan Ryan and the Magnolia down in Little Wayne. Y'all didn't know these spots. But we'll add spot. So you got Ja, right? Let's find out. Well, I told you about Ja. If I can find it. The God IE. See? That's how Dagada is the God of the earth and is often known as the good God. See, that's why they got Jesus' blood. Where? Let me show you. Let me show you something. One of us here. Here we go. In the ground. Earth. I.e. is the God of the ground who shed his blood for who? The beasts that are underground. Morta Lex, y'all know who she is. One of the soldier black African Americans. And there's your cousins. Synthetic insects, human hybrids, workers, they're highly specialized. We're hell-strong. Hell. Hell. Hydra. Void, different body voids. Man, y'all in so many pieces, man. But let's not stay there. Let's go back to what we was talking about. Crystal Palace, right? So we see the formula, or I'll make sure you get the formula up for you. So now, there's the formula. Behind, and here they're going through what? The Filipinos or King Philip. These are the Indians or the Mongoloids, per se, that look like today's Indians. So this is their familyist program or their Kabbalah spell too to control the genetic programming in them. That's why when they change your genome, they can manipulate your mind and heart ratio through the Kabbalah. And we know, I just showed you what? The King Crimson transmission. And this is called what? Let me show you. 10 Commandments is the opposite of the 10 Shame, which is made by the first blood spill would be what? Jesus, right? So we know that Mary Boshni to honor the first blood spill. I'm not saying she is, but we're going somewhere. So when we do the research of the hypo, see? That's why we're going to what? Hypocrite. Alright, I just want to make that connection. Hypo. Hold up. Thalamus. Now remember, We're the first ones that brought that the pyramid of Giza is connected to the brain. And what you don't see in the pyramid of Giza is the pineal gland. This is where I come to make the change. So get on the train and don't be the caboose on my train of thought. You ready? So now, first blood is to the brain. Why? Because in the beginning, the Most High blew what? His divine breath into the brain. And your brain became a crystal palace. Heaven. And in my Father's mansion, there is many rooms. And each room is a star, planet, galaxy, celestial, wherever you want to put yourself in your Father's house, you must earn your way into the kingdom of the glass house or the crystal palace. Not the emerald palace. That's the one that goes through the butthole. That's the rectum. That's the green. That's where the bacteria goes. Or that's where Protus belongs. Or the Olympians belong. This is where all that stuff for the Olympians go through the anal or your anus. And this is when you move up the anus. That's why they want to have sex in your anus, because they'll shoot their Milky Way up your anus until they see the bright light Venus. But there is no Venus inside of a man when it comes to being a woman. And because they don't have the breath of what a man and woman is, they have to go through every hole that they can find on Earth. Even if it's Mother Earth herself. Why? Because they even shed blood into the earth to try to impregnate the earth with something of their own. So they had to use a hypothermia, hypothalamus, or a hypocrite, or a hypocry. Right? Because that's how we got this. Hypocrites. And then we have a hypocritical oath. Hypocrite's oath, the original version of Hypocrite's oath was a text written like Lehood by the flower or a learned scribe, apparently Pythagoras school. I swear to fulfill, to the best of my ability and judgment, this covenant. I respect a hard-won scientific gains of those physicians, not God. You hear that? First, do no harm. To who? To who he swore to. What was that? Those physicians. So now he becomes what? In his heart, a hypocrite, because he got us thinking that in the name of God, he's coming out to do what? Heal somebody. The oath states that professional conduct and obligations of doctors is an oath of ethics that emphasizes the importance of ethical and. You fill the breaks in, but understand this. The oath states the professional conduct obligation of doctors to do what? In their own words. To fulfill the best of my abilities, a judgment, the covenant, I respect the hardships and gains of who? Physicians. These steps can be changed. If the Pope can change God's laws, they can change the physician laws and oaths. Medical definition. One of the oldest binding documents in history, the oath written by Hippocrates, is still held sacred by physicians to treat the ill to the best of one's ability. Why am I fucked up? Next, to preserve a patient's privacy. There goes that. No. There goes that law broke to teach the secrets of medicine to the next generation and so on. Last time I checked, racism still exists. There are many versions of hypocrisy. Here come the bait and switch, Mary Boshni. There are many versions of the Hippocratic Oath. That sounds like American law right there. Let me blow this up for y'all. So we make sure we're on the same page. See that? There's many versions to what? Being a hypocrite. When Jesus was being a hypocrite, look what he did. It's just not everybody who believes in Jesus' life right now. Especially if you're a black man. Right now, he had nothing else better to do but curse a motherfucking tree. If all the niggas he's supposed to been chased down by, because if he had any experience like me, the last thing we want to do is curse a tree. We want to curse some of these niggas here. Not the tree. The tree is more gangster than half the niggas in the hood. That's why we like Homewood. And we got to get rid of the Jew trees out of there. We ain't fucking with y'all. Where we at? Hypothalamus do. And it, look, y'all. What do it do? What do hypothalamus do? What do you do, baby? What you do, baby? Uh-oh. It helps control the pituitary gland and regulates many body functions. Body functions. Hypothalamic dysfunction information. Mount Sinai of all places, y'all. Hey, Mary Boshni, we on our way, baby. We on our way. Hold on. We're talking about amnesia, I believe. How do we cure amnesia? And the hypothalamus. Now, the dysfunction is what? The problem with the brain called the hypothalamus that it helps control the pituitary gland and regulates many body functions. So now we understand that, okay, that now. See where we go with the bullshit. Damn. Now, everybody is fascinated with this part here. But when it comes down to shit like this and the shit like that, and why you act like a lizard and shit like that, in your midbrain and your hyper what? Thalamus. If you look closely, 1, 2, 3, 4 main parts of the brain. And the Nile River would be the flow of electricity or the current going down your spine that affects what? Hold on. It's a highly complex structure that affects the brain, important brain, malfunctions in the area of the brain that may give rise to cluster headaches. Cluster headaches. Right there. That's why they say pain is all mental. Yes and no. Let's get it. So, what if you don't have AIDS? Let's get in this really. Now look at this, y'all. What if you don't have AIDS? What if you don't have high blood pressure? What if you don't have a problem with your childbirth? What if your emotions, behaviors don't need mental health drugs, growth hormones, false milk, sex? What if you didn't need all that if you knew that this here was connected to this? Theory behind winning Jesuit breeding program. The God Emperor of Doom. The purpose of the beanie some shit, Jesuit some shit, breeding scheme is to breed Queensats. If you break that down, Hydrox, or some type of spirit, which is what? A male with an other memory who can see both lines. A male and female. See? Male memory. Oh yeah, what's this? Male memory will be complete until the moment of conception. They're going to separate the male from the father. That's what it was. There you go. The father at the bottom. When you separate the male from its memory, it'll be complete until its conception. Remember I showed you this? Hold on. See, they're breeding these defects. Appetite. That's why you have so many weight programs. They control you by selling. When they control a particular people's weight, this is where you run to the gym and you feel like you want to go lift weights. Or you feel you want to get healthy. Or they can make you fat. Same thing with body temperature. They can make you feel like you're cold because you think it. If you think you're cold, best believe you will get cold. So this is where the Kabbalah come in at. Childbirth. They control all this through the what? Breeding program. Check it out on Other Humans on Frank Herbert's Hellstrom Hive. That's where you have the beehive and blah 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 hive. Alright? That's where that comes from. Mary Boston. Alzheimer's. How she died. Well, we understand that when you see the ants, right? I'll show y'all. Adam Ant. See the new Jesus? Coming up the ground from hell to save. In other words, this is what's coming up the ground to save you, man. Here's Jesus. And check out Adam Ant. Straight up. Adam Ant, an Egyptian god. From the form of dog, eat dog. Ant music. What's ant music? Gospel. Also, what is ant music? Let's go through who they are. Now, according to this, right, is that not a cave or a tunnel? They said they found Jesus. This guy said he found Jesus' blood, by the way. They said they found Jesus' blood down in what? According to Scripture. So this is Scripture, y'all. And what's down there? Society of insects. And what? Tunnels and caves to do what? Get the precious blood of Jesus. So when he come from hell for paying for your sins, this is where you'll become the children of mercilessness. Where you're going to kill and slay people at will, starting with the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. Why is it called the pituitary? Because the pie, as is the pineary gland, is the same size as the universe. Not the galaxy, not eons and aeons in the language of eternities and things of that nature. I can't talk to you about that because y'all would really want to kill me then. Y'all think I'm some magician, and no. So we're just gonna keep it with y'all according to your technology, and we'll keep it universe. All right, we'll just keep it universe. So we understand what hypocrisy is. The doctors, the whole system. Why guys like me and women like me cannot practice esoteric medicine and stuff like that, and it's pure. Not without the foulness, without being bribed, without look at me, without wanting to be on BET talking about I'm the first black Kundalini czar and shit. Fuck out of here. All gifts are to elevate humanity. Everything is evolving. And what's not evolving with creation, whether you see it or not, or don't see it, leave that sandbox and all them toys in that sandbox, because where you going, you will definitely not be thinking about toys. Let me help you with that. You want to be, you know what? You won't even have no bills, all right? You won't have no bills to pay. How we know? Because you said Jesus and Muhammad is going to pay all your bills. So we understand that behind the theory helps Bene Gesserit access more what? Pineal glands. What are they doing? Hold up. They're accessing pineal glands. To do what? To make sure that your causes are not noticed. So I can take the what? Hypocrites and be part of this many versions of this oath. Because the first classic version was more precisely one translation of the original oath, and then following it presented one of the fine modern versions of the Hippocratic Oath. I swear, look, here you go right here. Here's the oath. Matter of fact, so you can find out who really cares about you, man. Let me copy this real quick and I'll be right back. as in Rosa Krishna. What the hell? Oh, hell no. That made me sick. I'm out. Fuck this. That made me sick. I didn't fuck my blunt all up. Thank you. Didn't fuck my blunt all up. I'm out. So now, we get the oath. We got Jesus cursing the goddamn tree instead of his enemies. We understand what the hypothalamus is doing. They're destroying the hypothalamus to lose control of the what? Pituitary gland and the what? Pineary gland. And so there are many causes of hypothalamic dysfunction. The most common are surgery, brain surgery, tumors, radiation treatment to the brain. So, if I am a brain surgeon or a muscle specialist or a nerve specialist, radiation would be the last thing on my fucking mind. For treating cancer. Just something to think about. Just something to think about. Nutrition, McDonald's, obesity, boxed food, and or probably extreme late watch, I don't know. But shit. Blood vessel problems in the brain. We call that nigga dump. Thank you, Cat Williams. That's what we call that nigga shit. We call that the monkey brain when the blood loses vessels to the brain. That's a wrap. And see, the aneurysm, pituitary gland, the apoplexy, the subarachnoid, and the hemorrhage. Genetic disorders such as Prader-Willi syndrome, the familial diabetes insipidus. I heard that. Sounds like serendipitous. It's like serendipitous sounds like close to insipidus. Sounds like a fucking movie I heard somewhere. Diabetes insipidus. I knew something had to do with diabetes because central diabetes insipidus is a real condition that involves extreme thirst and excessive urination. Some always get an ADH in that motherfucker. ADHD, ADHX. But something in the vest oppression. That sounds like Vespasian. See, in their medical terminology, they make themselves gods. How? Because they associate your organs as their. In other words, they name those human body parts after themselves. I'll give you an example. I'll show it to you. Leave that there. Hold on, Mary Boshny. Nope, wrong tab. I'll show you the body parts. Alright. So we get the books of the magicians of how they do it. intelligent magicians, Book of the Lost, Chronicles. We know how they do it. Got the spine picture, showed y'all that. This is where you get the 33-degree, you know. See, that's where they get that from. The electricity to the body, the blood. The tree of life stems down from heaven called the crystal palace. And when your pineal gland, your crystal palace is one, the sun beams down, boom, hits your shit, it sends a round ball or a lightning orb like this. When that smacks right there, the reason why you get a rim or a halo like the Saturn, because it's touched down. And once it makes a connection to you, it have what? A natural glow. Then, as you're glowing, you'll know how fresh it is in your electrical system, in your spine. The dimmer the glow around somebody, the weaker their what? Connection with the divine. And their organs will show that as well. Called your shadow self. See, your electrical body self is your light being. Your organs is your shadow self. What's between your light being and your shadow self is your soul. What's between this man and that man? Not Jesus. Electricity in the body. That's why Jesus went to the dirt and you're dealing with electricity. So you see Jerry Springer here turns into what? On Simpsons, a germ. We know for a fact that they're finding the spark of life, what? Through how electricity runs through the body. To do what? To do a Neanderthal characteristics to create who? A Neander. Neander equals, in church history, a new man. Neander. Christian cast tents. I did that before. I think I did this already. I'm trying to find the Neanderthal part. Oh, here we go. See what he says? The incarnation of Jesus, the doctrine of hell, the return of Jesus. What did he do? Christ cast into his tenants. Who? Christian cast to his tenants is who? Jacob, another thief. Armenia. Where do Armenia sound familiar at, y'all? I'll tell you. I'm going to show you Armenia. Oh, I got that speech from Jesse. I should have it. Alright, Jesse, where that speech at? There's some dumbass shit. Where you at, Jesse? I'm coming for you. I've seen you somewhere. I forgot where I put you at. And look up donkey shape, donkey shape. Oh, donkey. Man, you'd be surprised. Well, let me show you some language. What is a black minority? Hispanic, White constitutes majority in all other racial ethnic groups: Mexicans, African Americans, Asian Americans, Americans, Indians, and Native Hawaiians classified as minorities. Okay? Done. Mexican, Asian, that covers Afro-Asiatic. That right here covers Afro-Asiatic. And they flipped it to what? Being minorities. Check this shit out. Alright? So now, what is a minor? Lesser in importance, seriousness. See how they give you Jesus? Low lola, a low God. Lesser. Low or lesser in importance. Minor alterations. On a music scale, have intervals of a semitone, not a Shemite tone or earth tone, but a semi or Jew tone, an Aramean tone. Remember, Jesse said, Armenians are Americans. I want to be a black American. And clearly, Armenians are part of the nations that hate you. The person under the age of a full legal responsibility. The court would take account of that. Because why? The black, Mexican, Asian is a minor. That's why you can't talk to me and I can't talk to you. Which is a minority, a smaller number of a part. So you're a smaller number of white man's agenda. Express a number that is less than what? Half the whole number. So you're not even a half a white man. You're 2/3 of a white man, meaning what? Neanderthal, according to Jacob. Let me make sure I got that. Neanderthal thing here. Tense, blood, Jesus, right? Knew my Neanderthal. See? DNA. Where's the man at, though? New man, there you go. So now, who's the new man? Neander. And he even got his Jew name. The what? The Neander Valley. The Neanderthal Valley. The new man. Who? Because to him, you're a smaller number. You ain't no Neo Anderson. You're not part of the big number or the whole number. In fact, we're going to make harsher measures for the minority of the real serious offenders. In fact, in our state, our period of being you're being under the age of full legal responsibility. With us, new man, the one that told you we hate God and God gave us power over you, us Newman said what? We are legally responsible over the black and white people on the planet. Now, if you want to stay here in our world, we ain't mad at you. And intrigues between factions striving to make the king, their puppet, continue throughout his what? Minority. Keyword. Who's your king? Jesus. Who's your puppet? The apostles. And throughout your minority, minor, miserable life. How we know? Because we had the new man in town, the new sheriff. I shot the sheriff. And I didn't shoot the deputy. What's up, sheriff? What's up, guys? Wow. That was a heavy trip. So, here's your trickster, your Christ in a red suit, the vicar of Christ in a red suit, talking to all you dogs. What they call jackals in the Bible. Because these are jackals or dogs in high places. And he is in the king's palace. Right? That's prophecy fulfilled. Now, Mari, how did we get here? Well, for sure, all modern Christians are the followers of Canaanite idol. How we know? Because Aaron took you up there. Made sure you did that. Alright? Aaron made sure you do that. So, we don't need to argue that scriptural fact. We'll put you in for Carpathians, Ukraine. Ukraine is part of the Usians. They're Limkos. They're all family. How we know? Let's get out of that. It takes us back to this question. The new man and who? You know what? I want to catch a couple seconds of this. What is this?
Must not fear, and fear is the mind killer.
Hello and welcome to another Dune lore video in preparation for Denis Villeneuve's Dune adaptation, coming out hopefully soon. Today we will briefly be going over a key group in the story of Dune, known as the Bene Gesserit. We will be discussing their origins, their goals, and abilities specific to their order. Due to a lack of imagery for Dune beyond the 1984 film and various fan art, this video will primarily show footage from the David Lynch version of Dune. So without further ado, let us begin. The Bene Gesserit Sisterhood is a matriarchal order whose origins trace all the way back to the Butlerian Jihad, where humanity
Stop! Let us talk to y'all. I'm shooting it. My Bashni. I thought we wasn't recording no more. I need that flick.
revolted against all thinking machines. The turmoil of this period allowed for their rise to power as well as their influence in political matters. The Bene Gesserit were capable of controlling every muscle and nerve in their body, which was referred
You hear that? What is this? What are they doing to humanity?
Referred to as the disciplines of prana and bindu. Prana being related to nerves and bindu being related to muscles. Because
What I just tell you? The electrical band and the shadow man, called the electron man and the proton man. If you can stay in his neutral part and control the neutrality of the brain, the pineal gland will never see the light of day. At ease, notice their heads.
Because of this training, the Bene Gesserit were also capable of various abilities such as the voice, which had the ability to influence people directly. They also had the ability of sensing the truth, as well as the weirding way, which was a hand-to-hand form of combat, as well as fertility control, which was integral to their breeding program, which I will discuss later on. What are referred to as Reverend Mothers are Bene Gesserit who have gone through what is called the Spice Agony and survived. Spice Agony was a very dangerous ritual that utilized awareness spectrum narcotics. And specifically, what they used was called the Water of Life, which is a liquid exhalation of a sandworm of Arrakis produced at the moment of its death when drowning in water. If a Bene Gesserit survived this process, utilizing internal organic chemical control, something called other memory would enter her awareness, which are all the memories of her ancestors, which would give one immense knowledge and power. And a physical result of this ritual were the eyes turning completely blue. Now, as I mentioned earlier, a major aspect to this order's history is its breeding program, which was to produce what is known as the Kwisatz Haderach. This is a male reverend mother, a super being, a messiah-like figure, the one who could be many places at once. This entire program was crafted in order to unlock the genetic memory of man, which was inaccessible to female Bene Gesserit, and before Paula Trick.
You hear that? Did you hear that? Now,
Here, the one who could be met many places at once. This entire program was crafted in order to unlock the genetic memory.
this is why we have an amnesia thing going on. Why I got a strong feeling I better shut the fuck up while I'm in here. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna shut up. And those who are spiritual already know what I'm about to say. And those who already know what I'm about to say. Now this shit is starting to make sense. Okay, here we go.
As I mentioned earlier, a major aspect to this order's history is its breeding program, which was to produce what is known as the Kwisatz Haderach. This is a male reverend mother, a super being, a messiah. The Bene Gesserit were capable of controlling every muscle and nerve in their body, which was referred to as the disciplines of prana and bindu. Prana being related to nerves and bindu being related to muscles. Because of this training, the Bene Gesserit were also capable of various abilities. Because of this training, the Bene Gesserit nerves and bindu being related to muscle. Muscles. Because of this training, the Bene Gesserit were also capable of various abilities such as the voice, which had the ability to influence people directly. They
Siren, music. Okay.
also had the ability of sensing the truth, as well as the weirding way, which was a hand-to-hand form of combat, as well as fertility control, which was integral to their breeding program, which I will discuss later on. What are referred to as Reverend Mothers are Bene Gesserit who have gone through what is called the Spice Agony and survived. Spice Agony was a very dangerous ritual that utilized awareness spectrum narcotics, and specifically, what they used.
That's why drugs is illegal. That's why certain drugs are illegal, because they don't want that elixir, what they would call a truth serum. Utilize the awareness of spectrum, DDT, LSD, the cocaine. Now it makes sense to marijuana, why they fucking the shit up, because they don't want us to tell the truth, and some of us that got past it. I see it. I see what's happening. Come on.
And specifically, what they used was called the Water of Life, which is a liquid exhalation.
Water of life-giving waters. So the river of life-giving water, it would be an elixir of everything in life. And if you can drink what life has to give you and pass that shit without being wicked, and I can see that. Can I tell you something, man? I can share this because I said it before. Now I see what they mean by Ezekiel swallowed the scroll. When he swallowed that scroll, that was like an elixir to his calling. Hope that nigga ain't died early. I gotta research that shit. Sheesh. Cause you know what I did? When I drank the elixir, she had the pleasure of being able to sip that shit. Mine wasn't so fun, Mary Boston. Mine was not nice like that. And dude, that saw that on the table. That wasn't. I didn't get that shit. Mine was dramatic. No, well, yeah, it was dramatic. Cause something put it in my mouth and shit. I couldn't say shit. It just was in my mouth, and all I had to do was accept it or reject it. Quick break, quick information break, story time. Tell you the truth, it's relevant to this. No, I'm gonna tell you what I was feeling, because I can feel what she's feeling. I'm myself, but I'm not myself. Man, the scroll was so big, it's in my mouth, and the first thing that came to my mind, how did this thing get in my mouth? And since I'm not a freak of nature, no pun intended, I'm like, I don't know how this big ass skull got in my mouth, but it didn't hurt as much as humanity was set to hurt me. I remember all the pain and suffering and agony that I've ever felt. And I remember all the pain and agony I was going to feel in the future. But what I did notice, while I could see her drinking that in peace, is the fact knowing that it's nothing, for real. All this emotional shit is really useless. All your emotional shit is only valuable to the one who moved your emotions like that. And that's why 99.9% people will not be able to pass this elixir. You have to stay what? A lower life. You will not evolve. And what's crazy, a lot of us go through it and don't even know it. There'll be a certain situation in your life where you're like, man, something just happened to me, and you played it off. When actually that was your time to shine before heaven and earth. Straight up. And I used to be scared of that shit because I used to watch people miss their opportunities as a child. I mean, I've seen adults miss their... Look, I done seen so many people in my family die and left people shit. And then 3 years later, I'm looking at the shit that I watched the family members work for. And I'm like, wow. That's what I get used to being skipped over. People always skip over what is good for them for what is bad for them. And they know it's bad for them, but it's cool to know that what I'm doing is bad. It's cool because you'll reward me. And like they said, it's very dangerous to drink that elixir, man. And really, a lot of people I think is upset about ex-drug addicts is because you can't drink that elixir, man. You can't smoke that shit, shoot that shit, do the shit that motherfuckers did, and live and come back and tell about it, and have a pure heart and say, hey, yeah, I was guilty, but I had to drink that elixir. That means I had to admit my wrongs, my ignorance, and also be responsible for my future decisions. And not blame it on God, devil, nothing. Let's keep it pushing.
Of a sandworm of Arrakis, produced at the moment of its death when drowning in water.
See, in that sandworm meaning the movie Doom, sandworm is what? Death, like he said. And hold up. Now let's go back to that death picture, right? Let's go back to death. Let's go back to death. Death culture. Death culture. The blood cries out. Your brother's blood is crying out to me from the ground. Bang. Orcus, a real live moon. Vant. Coming to a city near you, that frequency. And this is why everybody want to be famous, to kiss the devil's ass, and be a part of the belt. Who? Orion's belt, to do what? Bring in the culture of shame. Meaning the death of the first blood children. So I knew I was supposed to die. Greek god this. Walk into your face and dish you. When I be asking you who is more dramatical, KRS, DJ Scott LaRock got murdered where? A dramatic Broadway theater. How we know? Because who's more dramatical now that I shot you, nigga? Nah, who's more dramatical now? In the name of Jesus. Fulfill the prophecy the Messiah was going to hang on the tree. Notes in the General Massey book, Ancient Egypt. The false light of the world. And for Mesa, Mesla, for tree of life. That's how Jesus, Mesla, Babylon, Egypt, Jew tree, Jesus the Jew is the devil, and the raven took the Jew flag down. The god of this, Rex Furnace, cause god of this, Rex and Furnace, candle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 candles. 1 candle is out. So that's 9 candles lit. Right? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 candles lit. Jew, Mason. And there's the eye that's out. He killed him. How we know? Because A$AP Rocky and them are doing the rituals for the next one's coming. Mary Bosley, here we come. See? Fish. Poseidon comes to kill. Why? Because he's the fisher of men. Weapon, trident, fish. Ukraine. Crystal Palace, right? Ignatius. Joshua. And this guy, Jason. Why I showed y'all this. Right? Why did bro show me that? Why did I show him that, Papa? Because while we show you the bird took down what? Jesus, the Jew. The cat took down Jesus, the Jew. See? See? But now ask the beast. He'll teach you. Ask the birds of the air. They will tell you what? What will the birds of the air tell you? What does bird tell you? What that bird gonna tell you? What that bird gonna tell you? What that cat gonna tell you? What the 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 cat gonna tell you? Boom. We out, nigga. Bang. We out, nigga. Bang. And take your Jesus spirit with you, motherfucker. Bang. We out. We ain't with that shit. No more modern Jew, Russian shit. We out. See that? We out. We're done with that Kabbalah shit. We're done with that shit. No more monkey shit. We retrained our brains. But yeah, expression of disappointment, surprise. Why Dunkashay? Oops, my bad. Why Dunkashay? So you somebody just learned a new language today. Back to the Crystal Palace. Now, Mary, Mary, why you bugging? Mary, Mary, I need some hugging. Why did Run DMC make Mary, Mary? Mary Boshny, I'm here, sis. Why did that little boy tell me to bring up Mary Boshny? Well, let's try this. Who is Jason in the book of Maccabees? Oh, shit. Who is Jason in the book of Maccabees? Oh. Hypothalamus. Now, what are they doing? What are they doing now? They're trying to erase our memory. Because in Antioch, you was called Christians. And in Antioch, they changed your names. And in Antioch, we were what? Black Panthers. Alright? Jason Crane is an unknown Hellenistic Jew. While Greek speakers of him still favored, he favored the rebel Maccabees. So they copied his story to fit a narrative called what? Yeshua. Joshua. Watch. Is Jesus and Jason the same in Maccabees? Is Jesus and Jason the same in the book of Maccabees? We went over this before, but I didn't have Mary Boshny at the time. See? How is he from Crane? And how would it be? It would be a YAH. See the fakeness? Where's the H? And it would have been Yah Ben, not Yah Son. Because Son means what? Ben or Ba. Like, see what I'm saying? Like Ben Sirach. So it would have been Yah Ben or Ben Yah. So we see the deception in that. Judaism. That's another key. Now this is how they put themselves into the Bible. See? They use Josephus as they use Josephus as the one to tell you that Jason is really what? Yeshua. This is why you believe in Jesus and Joshua. And Yahshua before who? He changed it. Why would he change his name? Because they said Moses changed what? Hosea's name. So it can fit the narrative. While you fill in the blank. According to your belief. And that's why you're trapped in what? Hell. Or the Hellenizer rabbit. That energizes you. Because we got that. So now we got the gang all here. Alright? Let's see what the sister's doing. So now you got one Jesus. And now you got two. See? What Jesus y'all talking about, man? Because neither one of them's the Messiah. And we know this one. Alright, so now, I'll blow this up. So now we can get up off of this. We're talking about Jason. When history repeats itself, if you don't stop it now, we'll be right back to square one. The Greek name adopted by many Jews whose Hebrew designation. A Greek name adopted by many Jews whose Hebrew designation was Joshua. A Greek name. Joshua the Jew. Who? Jesus. Met the Hebrew Hosea, but the Greek Joshua in the Bible. The Greek Jesus in the Bible. 161 BC, he was sent to Rome by Judas Maccabeus to secure an alliance, offensive and defensive. 1 Maccabees. Alright. The father Antipater, who was the ambassador sent by Jonathan, was what? What was the odds? 144 BC. Research that date. And why? Because it was renewed the former treaty. This is what I come to do. Let's renew the former treaty. You stay on your side of the planet, we stay on ours. This Jason is perhaps to be identified with Jason, the son of God, Eleazar. But this Jewish historian, whose work is made known to us by a second book, which professed to be its direct epitome, Jason's work divided into 5 books, though apparently in great detail, with the history of the Maccabees and the wars of Jews against Antiochus Epiphanes and his son Eupator the Maccabees. 5 books. Did y'all read any of them? No. I'm sure you didn't. So now, we know who Joshua, Jason, Jesus, the Greek Isis, who he learns Aramaic, but he wasn't Shem, but a Sem or sperm version. And his name was Yeshua or Joshua, because to them, they couldn't say God's name. But he was a form of a savior in Greek culture, not in the fullness of the way of life. That's where they said anybody can do it. And this was a common Jewish, Greco-Roman name, not Hebrew. Where? In hell. Joshua. Okay? So this says that Josephus wrote about Joshua, but they don't mention Josephus. Tomato, right? Let's go on. Mind control. MK Ultra. Alright, let's dig into why I had a vision about Mary with her son Jason, or Jesus. So the question is, when was he born? What is he born to do? What is he being programmed to do? What is his genetic code? Is he a human? A neo-ander? Is he a neo-ander? That's the question. Is he a neo-ander? A new man? We understand he's a new kid. We hope they don't eat him. God forbid he found it to be defective. I don't know if they eat defective babies, but that's the only logic I can find. The ones with the good blood, you drain them as they get older. The ones fucked up, you catch them while they get what good blood is left and eat them, and I don't know. Which that was kind of weird. I'm up here drinking cranberry ginger ale. Fuck my head up for a minute. Mary Boshny, you came in my vision. Something came in my vision, Mary Boshny. And I was right when I first thought about German spark plugs. So now we're learning right now together. I don't know what this is about. I don't know nothing about the lady. I'm not for or against their teachings, whatever. I'm going with I got a vision from. Why? I do not know. Do not ask me. Why is this important? Mary Bosch pictures. This picture frame looks fucking familiar. I knew it. It has something to do with something. Oh, shit. Hold up. I might have been way off, but I'm not way off. Here we go. It's time to roll up again. Goddamn. I done got hot. Shit. Straight up, y'all. I done got hot in my room already. Somebody done turned the heat up. God damn, somebody done turned the heat up. Sicut Utrim Aquas Marius Jerome Bosch for Logo Menon to the Garden of Earthly Delights. What is the Garden of Earthly Delights? I'm almost scared to even want to know. But let's go. Not Neo Ander, but Neo Thurland, or Netherland, or Netherland dish. Okay, I got you. Okay, well, we won't be reading that today. The God gathered the waters of the sea. Wow, I didn't know. The 3 panels. Wow, I knew it. They would never see the pineal gland if you don't conquer these. The garden, the life on earth, and the tortures you go. You'll never get it. Wow. Holy shit. Hey, check this out, y'all. Right now, I'm stuck. I'm just gonna let you know right now. I'm stuck. The Bosnia family, I wasn't saying anything to degrade the death of your family. I'm just throwing on a spiritual roller coaster, and this is where, wow. 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 That's wow. See, I don't think we'll stop saying wow for a good minute. Because if Martin said he's seen the mountaintop, and what I saw, what I know I saw, I know what I know I saw. And for us to go from pineal gland to the blood being poured on the earth to the actual face on the earth and on the moon to my actual lifespan, my life's travels, to the middle panel that represents life on earth, and then that panel of wow. I can't describe you the pineal gland life. I haven't even got to look. I just got my foot in the door of the pineal gland. Like, if this is what I think it is, it's either I'm already there or shit. I'm about to pass out, y'all. I ain't lying. I'm about to pass out. Cause what's funny, I knew this as a child. Straight up, I knew this as a child. And somehow I knew what that scroll was about because I knew what was written on that scroll. It was good as the Garden of Eden. It took care of me as I lived on earth. And the fact that it was a scroll given to me by the hands of the Most High. Hell was torturous, couldn't kill me. It could torture me, but it could never kill me. So I hope y'all burnt up what you could. Mary Boston. Wow. I don't know if to keep it rolling or turn the video off. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask for your permission to continue talking to your children. We ask that for your guidance. We ask that you would be uplifted and glorified in all things seen, heard, and unheard, felt, and unfelt, and known and unknown. So I ask, of course, your divine purpose. Where should we go? So something brought me to, okay, let's further read this. Shit. Told you, the pig nun. I knew it. I knew it. When Jesus, look, when Jesus manifested the pig to demonstrate the hypocrisy of the clergy, hold up. Hold up. This is scripture, y'all. Got it. So we know we got that. We got the pork. So in other words, Hosea's father, Nun, had to manifest into a pig. So any preacher eating pork is a fucking hypocrite. Wow. She is writing the contract for the soul of the sinful man who has been damned by his selfish ways. The pig nun is seen whispering lies into the ear of the condemned man. Wow. Because nun means fish in the Bible, and pig means demons. So the fish became a demon to demonstrate the hypocrisy to what? All the churches. And so when Jesus came and said, yo nigga, the fuck you doing preaching about the Most High? Said, Jesus, what you want to do with us? He said, man, let us go into the pigs, man, you know. And we went on back into the hood. Yeah. That Bible's hitting a lot different. Who's selfish? The guy that died on the cross. How we know? Because it said none. Hold up. Watch this. I already did it, so I ain't gonna do no screenshots. Who is none in the Bible in Aramaic? Look. Means fish. That's why you don't eat the pork, nigga. You don't eat the pork because only hypocrites eat pork. Now it makes sense why every female that I was with that ate pork was a hypocritical bitch. Not because I say so, because that's the nature of the beast. Wow. The shit up. Original. Wow. None means fish in Aramaic. Oh, wow. So, in Aramaic, means what? Posterity, a fish, eternal. Next one. Who is the son? Who is the son of? Oh shit! Hold on. Who is Hosea's dad in the Bible? Not that one. Who is Hosea's dad in the Bible?
According to Wikipedia, in the Hebrew Bible, Hosea, Hosea, or Hose, Hebrew, Hosea, salvation, Greek, Hose, also known as Osi, son of Beri, was an 8th century BCE prophet in Israel and the nominal primary author of the book of Hosea.
Salvation. That ain't Jesus. Hey, Vernon Mack, what you used to call me back in the day? What you used to call me back in the day? H.I. double. What you used to call me back in the day? H.I. double. What you used to call y'all bro back in the day and didn't even know it? H.I. double. Now check this out. Here's the prophecy. Check this out. Prostitute, right? Hey, mama, told him I don't love them hoes. He had to do what? Marry a prostitute. Let me find that fish again. Let me help y'all out. Oh, where my peg go? Oh, I lost my peg, y'all. Shit. Oh, here we go. So now, see the water? Y'all see the water? We in the Nile River now, baby. We on our way up to the Crystal Palace. Get on top of those not 1, 2, 3 pyramids, but 4 pyramids that actually turn into celestial mountaintops. And when I got there, man, it was so damn beautiful up there. But guess what, y'all? Wasn't nobody up there but me. So I had to come back down here to find out who gonna drink this.
The Bene Gesserit survived this process. Utilizing internal organic chemical control, something called other memory would enter her awareness, which are...
Hold up.
Utilizing internal organic chemical control,
Organic chemical control. Now, what they say, it ain't what you do, it's how you do it. My ass. Because what you do and how you do might be the last thing get done in your life. Let's rock on. Let's control something.
something called other memory would enter her awareness.
Hold up. Something called other memory. Y'all don't know nothing about that, do y'all? Remember I said that if I told you shit about eons and ions, and we ain't talking about ions as in molecules, we're talking about eons as in distance. And what's in those ionis distance? Then you get to ionospheres as in foreseeable, tangible objects. When we get to eternal eons, you can't count this shit. You don't have enough ink, paper. You don't even have enough electricity in the universe to write this shit. You don't. Alright? So this is the other memory.
Which are all the memories of her ancestors, which would give one immense knowledge and power, and a physical result of this ritual were the eyes turning completely blue. Now, as I mentioned earlier, a major aspect to this order's history.
Now, if you're a sun child, scripture says what? Let me see what the scripture said. Let's see what good old scripture say. I don't want to fuck up my little presentation. I kind of like that right there. I'm missing something though. I'm missing something. I gotta put the nail in the coffin. What is King Hosea's dad's name? Not that one. Not that one. Original name. What's that? None? See? Right here. Now, let's put this back together. See that now? Hosea was the original name. See? Hosea was the original name. Till Joshua, till somebody changed it to Joshua. Now you got Yeshua, and that's why Nun had to turn into a pig to demonstrate the hypocrisy of what? Joshua and Yeshua. See the prophecy now, y'all? There, so y'all can stop telling lies. Alright? Did I help you out? You asked God to see your angel? Alright, here you go. Alright? Don't get mad. Okay? See? Until Moses gave him a theophoric name. Moses ain't used no goddamn word theo. Moses ain't gonna change another man's name to some fucking Joshua to fuck up this prophecy right here. And then to fuck up his name, posterity, fish, eternal. Why would Moses take an eternal named son and change it to a theological? Get the fuck. You see how the nigga think? You see how the writer and the person who dictates the story thinks? The narrator says, okay, even though Nun's name is eternal, we're going to change his son's name to a theological name. Shut the fuck up. Ain't no Joshua's... That's it. And so this is why we had to what? Fuck with the hoes. Why? Because Jesus is selfish. I think we got it all here now. None fish, Hosea prostitute, none pig, none Moses. Original name is Hosea. I think we got it there. I think we got the truth serum here. We got it. Yeah, we got it. Boom. I was looking for this too. Mary Bushney. Mary Bushney. Hey, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I had my fair share of prostitutes. Matter of fact, I'm not gonna close it. I'm gonna leave that right there. I'm gonna leave that right there. I had to do what? Become a pig. I had to look like I was a crackhead. I had to look like Matter of fact, I told a lot of you niggas, man, when I came to Pittsburgh. I said, if I don't do what I do, man, you niggas would kill me a long time ago. Straight up. I had to play my part. Nigga, you crazy? You didn't like me when I was a kid. You don't like me now. And you never did. And you never will. You know why? Because you're a prostitute. You're a thief and a liar. Your God is a liar and a thief. I didn't make this up. Alright? And what is these paintings about? Let's see this. You see this shit? Hey, I'm gonna tell y'all something, man. If I ain't know no better, this looks like a bunch of parasites on the planet. You got 1, 2 niggas. Hey, even in paradise, Garden of Eden, man, they only got 2 niggas. Man, I tell you, these motherfucking bacteria is cold-blooded. Somebody knows it's a flat earth. Help somebody else with that. Somebody needs that picture. I tried to tell them the rings of Saturn is inside the earth. Everything outside the planet is inside this goddamn bubble. Everything outside the bubble is inside the bubble. Everything outside and inside the bubble is inside man and woman. That's why you got the male and female aspect of the union of the complete circle. Wow. I tell you. Yeah, I'm hella curious, but let's finish this.
is its breeding program, which was to produce what is known as the Kwisatz Haderach. This is a male reverend mother, a super being, a messiah-like figure, the one who could be many places at once. This entire program was crafted in order to unlock the genetic memory of man, which was inaccessible to female Bene Gesserit, and before Paul Atreides, no male had survived drinking the water of life. Paul Atreides' mother, Lady Jessica, was a Bene Gesserit, who was supposed to have borne a daughter to Duke Leto Atreides. However, she chose to bear him a son, causing the breeding program to fall into turmoil. Now beyond this, the Bene Gesserit also made extensive use of something called the Gom Jabbar, which was a metacyanine poisoned needle attached to a fingertip. When this test is administered, the needle was held at the neck of the individual, and as we see in Dune, they place the individual's hands into a box which induces great pain. The idea was to test their humanity, as only animals rely on instincts, and humanity should be able to override these instincts with their awareness. When Paul Atreides was tested with the Gom Jabbar, not only did he succeed and pass the test, but he withstood the most pain that had ever been administered before. Now, the structure of the order is Reverend Mother Superior, who maintains ultimate control of the organization. Then there is the Kwisatz Mother, who is in charge of the breeding program and directing it. After this, we have our Reverend Mothers, as explained earlier, who operate as advisors, historians, and authority figures within the order. There are Proctor Superiors, who are in charge of chapter houses, and then there were Truthsayers, who were taught how to invoke the Truth Trance. And then there are Sisters, who are concubines and potential wives. And at the very bottom is the Initiate. So I hope that this has been beneficial and fun to listen to. As I always recommend, read Dune first before you see the movie, because I think it will be a fun experience to go into the upcoming adaptation with some frame of reference. But in the very least, these little quick explainers that don't go too far into the lore should help orient yourself in Herbert's universe. As always, may the spice flow, and AT-AT is signing off.
Shit. Fuck with this goddamn dragon. Let's get into this.
Whoever looks into the mirror of the water will see first of all his own face. Whoever goes to himself risks a confrontation with himself. The mirror does not flatter, it faithfully shows whatever looks into it, namely, the face we never show to the world because we cover it with a persona, the mask of the actor, but the mirror lies behind the mask and shows the true face.
Right?
The word persona originally refers to a theatrical mask worn by actors to depict the roles played by them. In
theatrical mask. This one is that one. I'm quick up to lead a crew. Right up to your face and dish you. What's that dish, God? Now, what'd he say? A theatrical mask worn by actors to depict a role played by them. Carol's Run wore a mask to kill Scott LaRock. Why? Theatrical. Was Scott LaRock where? In theatrics. And what did he ask you? What did he ask him? Who was more dramatical, this one or that one? The white one or the black one? You heard it. He told on himself. Arrest that nigga, man. You know what I know? Let's go.
Carl Jung's model of the psyche, the persona lies between our ego and society. The ego refers to our center of consciousness, which is responsible for our continuing sense of identity throughout our life, and the persona is the social mask that we put on. We all embody different masks in different settings, as it is our way to adapt to the demands of society, playing an important part in shaping our social role and in how we deal with other people. But it also has its dangers. The persona is a complicated system of relations between individual consciousness and society, fittingly.
It's a system. And then in this system, we'll call it residue, or like when light goes through your room and leaves dust. Now you become systematic in your personality traits. That's why they can say, we're gonna write a law that if you think about committing a crime, you're going to jail. How they can say that? Because you've been systematically programmed. Your consciousness is no longer personal, but made public. That's why they have cell phones and all this, because now we need to know what the fuck you thinking about. And that time we look at that cell phone and see them fucked up ass posts and them color ass wigs and fucked up, you're like, alright. Somebody got to slow this shit down before it get out of hand. And eventually you will call death ugly because your death personality, what you call life, you don't see the bigger picture that's destroying that which is good before you was born. So this is where that society, comma, fitting enough a kind of mask. Let's see what's up with that mask.
Funnily enough, a kind of mask, designed on the one hand to make a definite impression upon others, and on the other to conceal the true nature of the individual. Jung outlines two stages of the persona. The first stage is that of identification, the performance of the persona.
Now, I want to share something with y'all, right? He's giving you the blueprint on how to deprogram yourself and deprogram your children and the people that are in your house, not in your community. You're not ready for that yet. Don't try it. Don't go out there talking about, I'm going to use these 3 steps and develop my own way, and boom, instant gratification. You've lost already. In fact, the people around you will see that you don't know what the fuck you're doing, and you'll be engulfed and be 3 times worse than when you started out. And that's scripture too. When the house is clean and the devil come back and you bring 3 more niggas. Yeah.
Is quite alright as long as one knows that one is not identical with the way one appears. It only becomes dangerous if one is unconscious of it or over-identifies with it. In this case, one must proceed to the second stage, that of disintegration, where one's persona is intentionally or unintentionally shattered, creating a state of chaos and disorientation. In very rare cases, one can have 2 or more personalities who have their own opinions and may contradict each other. This is known as dissociative identity disorder, a mental health condition which is usually a result of trauma. In the disintegration process, one can choose 3 different approaches. Negative restoration, where one pretends that he is as he was before the crucial experience in order to adapt to the status quo. Absence, where one lives without a persona and cannot possibly interact with the world. And restoration, where one develops a persona that one is conscious of and which does not hide one's true self. If one is either unconscious or over-identifies with his persona, the optimal choice is restoration. Negative restoration hides one's true self, and absence of a persona may not only be impossible, but also undesirable, as one must adapt himself with the external world as much as his inner world. The topic we will be discussing are the dangers of concealing our true self. We may use the persona to help us conceal our vulnerabilities and other parts that we do not want to reveal about ourselves, or we may excessively identify with the persona. When we do not want to reveal the truth about ourselves, we act as someone who we are not. There is always some element of pretense about the persona, for it is a kind of shop window in which we like to display our best wares. The persona begins to form early in childhood out of a need to conform to the wishes and expectations of parents, peers, and teachers.
Let that picture marinate. If you were, how old? How old, we say? How old can we say? Oh, these are the good presents. Become this child. But you know what you know. Or if you got your child next to you, ask your child, what do they think about you? Don't ask no 6-year-old with his bad ass, and don't ask no 4-year-old with her bad ass. Ask a 2-year-old or younger. Don't ask him, do you love mommy? Ask him the shit you're going to ask him when he get 30 years old. Because that's what you're prepping it up to. Don't say that around my baby. Don't do that. Nigga, shut up. Let that motherfucking baby hit a basketball, a tennis racket, all that. Don't you do that with my baby. It's out the window. Rest in peace, baby John Bonet. And the other baby been abused for their what? Innocence. Not ignorance, innocence. Because mom and dad and uncle and them grandma and them know goddamn well they done fucked their own life up and gonna tell the newborn, you should do this. Think about that. You already on the planet. The baby just got here. And you want him to be like you already. That's some scary shit. And that's why times don't seem like they change or get better. Because you're your persona on your own babies that you love to eat.
Children quickly learn that certain attitudes and behaviors are acceptable and may be rewarded with approval, while others are unacceptable and may result in punishment. The tendency is to build acceptable traits into the persona and to keep unacceptable traits hidden or repressed. Perhaps being assertive is seen as rude and socially unacceptable, and one becomes passive, affecting one's relationships and career. Or one can be too agreeable because one doesn't like conflicts, but is taken advantage of. These undesirable aspects eventually take their toll on us as we mature, forming our shadow, the dark side of our personality, whom we may be possessed by at any moment in sudden emotional outbursts. For Jung, the negotiation with one's shadow is a lifelong process as part of our self-education, which allows us to rescue the good qualities that lie dormant in our psyche and be honest about who we are. as well as knowing how much good we can do and what crimes we are capable of. The shadow, which is usually perceived as negative, also has its positive side. It becomes hostile only when it is ignored or misunderstood. The other danger of the persona is an excessive identification with it. This indicates that our individuality is nothing but pure fiction. In rare cases, if the ego is completely identical with the persona, individuality is wholly repressed, representing maximum adaptation to society and minimum adaptation to one's individuality, inhibiting psychological development. Jung writes, every calling or profession has its own characteristic persona. A certain kind of behavior is forced on them by the world, and professional people endeavor to come up to these expectations. Only the danger is that they become identical with their personas, the professor with his textbook, the tenor with his voice. Then the damage is done. Henceforth, he lives exclusively against the background of his own biography. One could say, with a little exaggeration, that the persona is that which in reality one is not, but which oneself as well as others think one is. The persona prevents us from what Jung considered the most important task in our lives, the process of individuation, bringing one closer to the self, through having one's unconscious contents brought into consciousness. The contents of the unconscious can be explored through dreams, reflection, and active imagination. It is not possible to achieve individuation by conscious intention alone. The self is the totality of one's personality, which transcends the ego. The goal of the self is wholeness, and individuation is its raison d'etre. The persona hinders this process. One cannot individuate as long as one is playing a role to oneself. The convictions one has about oneself are the most subtle form of persona and the most subtle obstacle against any true individuation. One can admit practically anything, yet somewhere one retains the idea that one is nevertheless so and so. And this is always a sort of final argument which counts apparently as a plus, yet it functions as an influence against true individuation. By way of example, we can contrast French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre's concept of bad faith to that of the persona. He writes, "Let us consider this waiter in the cafe. His movement is quick and forward, a little too precise, a little too rapid. He bends forward a little too eagerly. His voice, his eyes express an interest a little too solicitous for the order of the customer. Finally there he returns, trying to imitate in his walk the inflexible stiffness of some kind of automaton, while carrying his tray with the recklessness of a tightrope walker, by putting it in a perpetually unstable, perpetually broken equilibrium, which he perpetually re-establishes by a light movement of the arm and hand. All his behavior seems to us a game. He is playing. He is amusing himself. But what is he playing? We need not watch long before we can explain it. He is playing at being a waiter in a cafe. There is nothing there to surprise us.
Go back. If anybody's feel out, read that again. All his behavior seems to us a game. Why? Why do you see this as a game? One, he knows this job is not him. He got something else better to do, really, for real. But for now, he's enjoying his life being a waiter. That's all. Just that day. Then as he's watching him, he's explaining what he's seeing. And he's playing it as he's being a waiter in a cafe, because he is a waiter. He's in a cafe, but what he's doing is he's not showing you his individualism, as in what he do when he's not being anything else. Because today he's being a waiter. When he goes back and take his clothes off, he might be somebody else, or four people in one. Because that's something like what I do. And it's not a vicious game what's going to hurt somebody. But you're in a space of time. You play your role. And then when it's over, it's done. So it's like you put yourself in the glass, the bottle, the table, the chair. You can actually put yourself there.
Is amusing himself, but what is he playing? We need not watch long before we can explain it. He is playing at being a waiter in a cafe. There is nothing there to surprise us. Sartre tells us that the waiter is deceiving himself about his human reality. The persona or social role has become equivalent to his human existence. His individuality becomes objectified, being equivalent to his job. If one day he happens to lose interest in his job or is fired from it, his persona shatters, the stage of disintegration, and he stares into the abyss, meeting face to face with the emptiness of his true self, which he has not yet developed, and this may lead to an existential crisis. Jung believes, on the other hand, that one falls into the power of primordial images, and without an anchor in reality, one can lose one's wits. He writes, "The aim of individuation is nothing less than to divest the self of the false wrappings of the persona on the one hand, and of the suggestive power of primordial images on the other." Primordial images or archetypes are collectively inherited forms. To understand this better, one must be familiar with Jung's model of the psyche. The self is divided into consciousness and the unconscious, and further, the unconscious is divided into the personal unconscious, contents that are individually acquired but have been forgotten or repressed, and the collective unconscious, contents that are inherited, that is, archetypes. Apart from the persona that we have been discussing, the mediator between ego and society, which pertains to consciousness, the persona also forms part of the collective unconscious, and is sometimes referred to as a social archetype or conformity archetype. It is only because the persona represents a more or less arbitrary and fortuitous segment of the collective psyche that we can make the mistake of regarding it in toto as something individual. It is, as its name implies, only a mask of the collective psyche, a mask that feigns individuality,
Toto,
making others and
Alice in
themselves
Wonderland.
believe that one is.
That's another confirmation when I told y'all, check out the Wiz, the black version, and the Wizard of Oz, the white version, and you'll see blatantly two different programs of the psyche. Complete programs.
Individual, whereas one is simply acting a role through which the collective psyche speaks. When we analyze the persona, we strip off the mask and discover that what seemed to be individual is at bottom collective. In other words, that the persona is only a mask for the collective unconscious. We all have a name, seek to earn a title, exercise a function, and be this or that. This is all real, yet in relation to the essential individuality of the person concerned, it is only a secondary reality. Fundamentally, the persona is nothing but a compromise between individual and society as what a man should appear to be, which is not to be devalued. However, the development of individuality can never take place through personal relationships alone, since it requires a psychic relationship to the collective unconscious. The real individuality keeps on coming to the fore and interferes with the conscious mind, as the unconscious guides us towards individuation. And with the exploration of the unconscious, we can assimilate the archetypes that influence our conscious life as autonomous personalities within the collective unconscious. These are brought to life by the particular expressions of individuals and their cultures around the world. People don't have ideas, ideas have people. In essence, the human psyche is both individual and collective. Therefore, a balance and cooperation between two apparently contradictory sides is precisely what gives us psychic equilibrium. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can support the channel on Patreon or by liking, commenting.
Wow.
The Sigma male is a rare type of man that evades categorization according to traditional social hierarchies. These deep-thinking men are unique in their ways and often appear somewhat mysterious to the world around them. The allure and mystery of the Sigma male is made up of a collection of dynamic and often charming characteristics. Here is the Bloke Box guide to the traits that most commonly appear in Sigma males and set them apart from the crowd. If these traits sound like they're describing you or someone you know, let us know in the comment section below, as you may have just stumbled across a Sigma male. Number 22. They are unconcerned by society's expectations. The Sigma male is one who doesn't fit into the molds that make up the traditional social hierarchy of men. Whereas an alpha wants to lead and a beta wants to follow, the Sigma male is unconcerned by such matters. Instead, the Sigma male lives by his own set of expectations for himself. These men do not tend to lose sleep worrying about what others think of them or asking themselves whether or not they are living up to society's expectations. You would be hard-pressed to find a Sigma male hopping on the latest social trends, as he's simply unconcerned with keeping up with these passing fads. A Sigma male sets his own goals and priorities for his life, and no amount of preaching is likely to change these goals or priorities. The only set of expectations that truly matter to the Sigma male are those he has set for himself. 21. They are natural rule breakers. Part and parcel of existing outside of the grasp of typical social norms and expectations is a penchant for bending or even breaking the rules. As the Sigma male is one who sets his own set of expectations about what can and can't be done, he will often be found disregarding the rules put in place by others and operating on his own personal sense of right and wrong. This is part of the Sigma male's strategy for self-preservation when he's acting outside of the social norm. In order to get what he needs and wants without pandering to a system, the Sigma male simply needs to take matters into his own hands and find a set of rights and wrongs that works for him. As the Sigma male also tends to be highly analytic, you'll find that there's often a very sound logic underlying which rules a Sigma chooses to stick to, and which he chooses to break. Number 20. They can often be loners. The Sigma male is totally unconcerned by pack dynamics. Rather than trying to lead the pack or find a good position from which to follow others, the Sigma male simply marches to the beat of his own drum. This total sense of independence means that from the outside, a Sigma male can appear as somewhat of a loner to others. In reality, it's not that the Sigma male can't fit in as part of a group. In fact, his high emotional intelligence allows him to do this pretty easily. Rather, the Sigma male tends to actually be more content as a one-man show, without having to worry about or take responsibility for the actions and behaviors of others. It is indeed the Sigma male's confidence in his own abilities that allow him to happily make his way through life as the lone wolf of the pack. Number 19. They do not seek validation from others. Living outside the typical male hierarchy means that the Sigma male is pretty much totally unconcerned with the kind of validation that most other men find themselves seeking. Living by his own set of rules means that the judgment of others is pretty worthless to the Sigma male, regardless of whether that judgment is positive or negative. The only person whose opinion can truly validate a Sigma male is himself. This trait of the Sigma male often leads to great respect and admiration from his peers, as he lives his life simply to satisfy himself and not to seek constant validation or praise from those around him. Rather than waste energy on trivialities such as attention seeking, the Sigma male can devote this energy to getting ahead and achieving his goals without being sidetracked by petty distractions. Number 18. They don't easily let others in. His prevailing tendency to act as a lone wolf in society means that for a Sigma male to let others in can be somewhat of a rare occurrence. The Sigma male prefers to be self-resilient in all matters, and so sharing can sometimes feel overbearing or frankly like a waste of time. This is not to say that the Sigma male bottles up his feelings, however. Rather, he is just confidently self-sufficient in his ability to manage his own problems and emotions. While it's rare, it is certainly by no means impossible for a Sigma male to let someone in from the outside. If it's someone the Sigma male really trusts and values the advice of, he may just open up. This is just another example of the Sigma male's emotional intelligence leading him to knowing exactly when to reach out to others and exactly who to turn to. Number 17. They are self-aware. Being so self-reliant, the Sigma male naturally knows himself very well. It would be impossible to act effectively as a lone wolf without a strong sense of self-awareness. The Sigma male's self-awareness manifests in many different ways. One of the most prominent of these is his ability to recognize his own abilities and limitations. The Sigma male does not walk through life wearing a blindfold, convinced that he can do anything. The Sigma male truly knows his strengths and weaknesses and uses this self-knowledge to his advantage. This kind of self-awareness does not simply appear out of nowhere, however. Rather, this deep and reflective sense of self-awareness is one of the major advantages that Sigma males get from spending a lot of quality time just by themselves. Number 16. They can come across as spontaneous or unpredictable. Having so little regard for society's rules and the judgments of others, it should come as no surprise that the Sigma male can act in a way that, to the outside, may come across as a little unpredictable. Free from the constraints of societal norms and expectations, the Sigma male is able to act according to his true, authentic instincts and desires. Whereas other men might hold themselves back from taking certain action out of fear of judgment or ostracization, the Sigma male couldn't care less. This might seem unpredictable, or even chaotic to those on the outside, but to the Sigma male his inner reasoning is clear as day. Unconcerned by what others think, he will follow his heart in a way that is often a source of surprise, admiration, and even
Alright, enough of that. My fault for boring y'all with that, folks. I had to drop that vision on y'all. What's this?
Say hello to Hieronymus Bosch. Hello, Hieronymus. He's a Netherlandish painter who lived and worked in the late 15th and early 16th centuries. Bosch was known for painting triptychs, altarpieces with 3 panels. Simple enough so far, right?
Father,
Okay,
Son,
now here's
Father,
his
Son,
most
the Holy
famous
Spirit.
triptych. Whoa. This is the Garden of Earthly Delights, a modern title given to Bosch's masterpiece triptych painted between 1490 and 1510. This is amongst the most intricate and enigmatic paintings of Western history, filled with images and symbols that have sparked debate for centuries. Bosch's triptych is made of oak panel and oil paint, and like most triptychs, the outer 2 wings fold in. Most triptychs were only opened on special occasions, so they had a closed view as well as an open view. This is the closed view. It's an image of the world during the creation. God can be seen in the upper left, and the world appears in a sphere, based on a traditional depiction for the time of the newly created world as a crystal orb. The entire thing is painted in grisaille, meaning it's entirely in various shades of a single color. Many scholars think that this represents the stage of creation. There's no color because the sun and moon have not yet been created. There is simply an ephemeral light and seas, putting this at the 3rd day of creation. The outside is dark and dreary, a strong contrast to this, the inside view. When the outside wings were open, this is what we see, a massive and intricate scene of people in a vast landscape. Most triptychs were read from left to right, like a book, so we'll do the same. The left panel shows a scene from the Garden of Eden, after Eve has just been created from Adam's rib. Real and mythological creatures fill the scene, many of which were symbolic of
Oh, what happened? don't want to do all that. Well, we see the meaning of the flat earth, and this represents what? The third day. So we don't have to have nobody arguing about who thought what in the 1400s. In the 1300s. Ross joined a strict religious brotherhood called the Brotherhood of Our Lady, where he remained until his death, 1516. Died at 31. That's it for now. The spirit left. And I don't want to hold y'all up. Love you guys, man. Take care of each other. Joshua, Jesus. See, Jeshu, Isu. Free yourself, man. Well, I had to free myself from this shit, y'all. I ain't gonna front. This is some bullshit here. Y'all giggled your ass off, too. Matter of fact, here's the prophecy of that video. Stole our queens and dope fiends. Queens and dope fiends. Fuck you. There you go, right there. Let your head check this out a little bit. Took our queens and our dope fiends.
Families apart. This is a minute and 49 seconds of demons or amongst us. Say a prayer before watching part 2. They enjoy everything you listen to in rap music. They enjoy everything you listen to on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, regular TV, and in your church, Miles Magis, in your Bibles, It's everywhere. And a lot of y'all can't see it because you're so deep in it, you don't realize that you're that deep and that much a part of it. And how you contribute to it. At a minute and 59 seconds, or maybe 58, we'll say from 57 to 59, he explains the difference between ghosts needing prayers from you versus demons separating you from your family. And separating your family from you. Because Jesus said what? I wish the earth was on fire. It's going to be scorching. And I wish it was on fire already. And I come to separate you from your father. I come to separate you from your daughters. And from God. And if you love God, I can't separate you from God. If you don't love God, then you'll follow me. It goes back to that video we told you about Orcus, the god of the undead, who does necromancy like Jesus did to Lazarus. Did that video? Oh snap, hold on. I had to heat my Java up real quick. So for the listeners, right? Now hear the whole 2 minutes. Alright, this is not my work. This belongs to Shattered Paradise on YouTube. Y'all see it? So we're not claiming their work. We're just using their work to prove what we've been telling you guys for years already. Alright? So we don't want to hear no bullshit. Now here's the power of the demon. So some folks is going to be repetitive because we already been on tag already. But for the sake of this
When Bob and Lisa Cranmer made a lowball offer on this Century home near Pittsburgh, they expected some haggling.
Where am I at? Pittsburgh. That's where I'm at. I'm in Pittsburgh. Pitts. These witches were the first ones that created America. These demons, or your Masons of George Washington, Sam Adams, and all of them. Let me show you something. Here's the religion, Greek mythology. Religion, Greek mythology. By G.S. Kirk. The Nature of Greek Myths. By G.S. Kirk. What's another book at? We have another book. Let's see where it goes here. Okay, see it. There's this book here. And they built this section of the land in America. For your listeners, it's called American Nations, the history of the 11 rival regions, cultures of North America, by Colin Woodward. Let me tell you what they did first, before we finish this video. This is their end game. This was their end game. On page 54 and 56. No, 54 and 55. Page 54, I already got it. Alright, set the notes. Got the notes. I got the notes. Well, let me see something quick. Oh, I am here. Okay, here we go. Oh, I am on here. Alright, let's see. Full screen. Picture. Okay, here we go. We're alright. I didn't know that I could still see myself. Alright, here we go. We're good then. I was just working out. This is working out. Oh yeah, this is working out then. Alright, this is cool. Praise the Most High. Should you hear? It won't let you see my face with the book in front of it. For some reason, okay, when you see the book, here's the book. I got the book. At least y'all can bear witness that I have the book. American Nations. The chapter is Founding Tidewater. And it reads as follows. One might ask how tyrannical society could have produced some of the greatest champions of republicanism, such as Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, and James Madison. The answer is that the Tidewater gentry embraced classical republicanism, meaning a republic model after those of ancient Greece and Rome. The tyrannical system is created after what? Greece and Rome by who? George Washington and James Madison, which are Masons. These guys are Masons. George Washington and James Madison. They emulated the learned slaveholding elite of ancient Athens. They learned how to run America like ancient Athens. So that means your Christianity is Greco-Roman. Your religion and everything about you, black man or black woman, is Greco-Roman, especially if you're an African American. Or a black African American, because they are the ones that created America. So when you say I'm African American or black American, then you're accepting the Greek Roman way of life. So that means that you are a black Jew. You are a black Israelite. You are a Judaism. You are an Esau. You are an Edom. You are a Magog. You are a Gog. You are everything that God hates. Greco-Romans don't have God, the Most High Yah, like the Hebrews. They don't have the Most High Yah like the Hebrews. You black people have Greco-Roman gods. And that's why we don't mix. That's why we have black on black crime. Now, basing their enlightened political philosophies around the ancient Latin concept of libertas, or moneta, or capitola, or hospitaller, i.e. hospitalers, or hospital, or hospice. This was a fundamentally different notion from the Germanic concept of Fahrenheit or freedom. It's a different concept from the Germanic thing of freedom. So the Germans got their version, and the Greco-Roman pale-skinned English got their version of what freedom and republicanism is. Understanding distinction is essential comprehending the fundamental disagreements that will plague relations between the Tidewater, the Deep South, and New Spain on the hand, and Yankeedom in the Midlands on the other. For the Norse, Esau, Jesus, the winter god, the Norse god of the runes religion. It's right here. Norse, Anglo-Saxon, Dutch, and other Germanic tribes of Northern Europe, freedom was a birthright of free people which they considered themselves to be. For the Greeks, there was no contradiction between republicanism and slavery. So whether you vote Democrat, whether you vote Democrat or Republic, is no different than slavery. That's why this is called restored our queens and our dope fiends and everything in between. That makes sense? Y'all follow? Let's begin to play. So now let's go see what Satan and Lucifer is going to do to your cross. It's in the Bible too. We're going to get to that at the end of the video. Let's go.
And it was like, so.
A dream come true for the former councilman and his young family.
Countless times I can recall as a child standing on the sidewalk, just staring at the house.
6 fireplaces, 3 stories, with one terrifying secret lurking inside. Although in the beginning it seemed harmless.
The radio would be on, water would be running in the sink. We would wake up on a regular basis with scratches and bite marks. This thing was out to hurt us.
Oh, Jesus is real
Bob and
show.
Lisa turned to the Catholic Church.
He just saying what you think he
You
is.
hear that? Where's my book at? George Washington and James Madison, these nations who modeled America after Greco-Roman and the elite of ancient Athens, Greece. Alright? Virginia John Rattle would explain decades after the American Revolution, I love liberty, I hate equality. Right here. Page 55, the last verse. Right here, read it. They hate equality. You'll never be equal, black man and black woman. It's right here in the book. I hate equality. So God sent for the people that hate equality. And God sent for your Christian church, your father, the vicar of Christ, who gave you Black Baptist Church, Protestant Church, and all these churches came out of Rome. And Rome came out of Egypt, and Egypt came out of Babylon, and Babylon came out of the pit of hell. Here's the proof.
A priest could bless the property and solve the problem. But instead, he says, everything escalated, turning into an all-out war between good and evil.
So, when a black man calls on Jesus and his black preachers, for some reason, the black community gets worse, don't it? It gets worse. When you call on the black Jesus and your black church and your black preachers, life gets worse, don't it? For some reason, God gets so much further than a black man that he even shows in our children. Because our children put on anything to be bisexual and get up there and say, I'm blessed by God in the name of Jesus. So this is what happens to the white man who gave you this religion. This is going to happen, the same thing happened to the black man who pumps this religion.
They could mangle and break the crosses on the...
He mangled and broke your Jesus piece on your wall. He mangled and broke the Jesus piece on your diamond necklace, the gold diamond chains. For all your rap artists that got Jesus pieces.
Rosaries and crosses around their necks. They would be bent in half.
One diabolical act after another, says Bob.
There we go.
He says the worst was this manifestation of a foul substance splattered on the walls.
There's some of it there. Over the whole outfit.
Lab tests were inconclusive.
We're not sure what it is. It's some type of fluid, but we found skin cells.
We don't know what type of fluid, but we found skin cells. The demon bust a nut on his wall. He bust a nut on his Jesus piece. And in his Jesus filled crib. He bust a nut on his wall. We read that video about masturbation. Check that video out. The demon ejaculated on the nigga's walls because they said it was some type of skin cell, some type of fluid, nigga. Yeah. He called Jesus, the preacher, recited the Bible, and got his cross broken, bent, and got sperm on his walls. So if we did that to the pale skinned black man or black woman, and you call on that same God, or that same Jesus, or that same Jesus piece, i.e., what Reverend Jesse Jackson said, is I quote, the term African American was as a concept was created steadily into the nation's vocabulary since 1988, when the Reverend Jesse Jackson held the news conference to urge Americans, the Greco-Roman black man, he used it to refer to as blacks. Jesse Jackson, the Reverend, the black vicar of Christ, the black vicar of Jesus of the black church, with Reverend Sharpton and T.D. Jakes, called on the same cross, the same shit that his ancestors called. And when he took black into African American, it got worse. Because there's no tree that lives in African America. So let's listen to this delusion, this curse that you're on. Remember, God said, I'm going to curse the earth. Listen.
Yeah, it's a number of dramatic things going on.
Adam Bly has a master's degree in clinical psychology and is a former skeptic turned expert demonologist.
Certainly.
Master's degree in clinical psychology and is a former skeptic like all black people. If it ain't Jesus, it ain't here. If Jesus don't come, if Muhammad didn't say it, it ain't happening. If Prophet Nubu Juali ain't say it, if Elijah Muhammad didn't teach it, and Dr. Europe didn't say it, it ain't black history, nigga. It ain't God. Surprise, motherfucker. I'm going to hell. And everything you've done is going to be thrown into the lake of fire with you. And here's the proof. The guy turned into a professional demonologist. So that means he is qualified to confirm what I've been telling y'all in these videos for years. And with my bloodline, I'm telling you for thousands of years. And left documents for you to research to defeat this shit today, but we keep perpetuating the hate. Let's get it.
Difference between ghosts and demons.
Adam says ghosts are generally harmless human souls needing prayers, while demons are insidious entities.
They do enjoy conflict, pain, chaos, breaking families apart.
They enjoy, read this, while demons are insidious, black man and black woman, African Americans, and they enjoy pain, suffering, twerking, immoral sex, drugs without sickness, and coveting other men's wives, building idols, and becoming gods themselves, i.e., the black man is God, the white black woman is goddesses, you know, that dumbass shit. You're demons. Let's go.
Very sadistic creatures.
Which
Very
Brian
sadistic.
says an exorcist's work must be voluntary and solitary.
We'll take revenge on those that are close to us if they can't take revenge on us.
That makes sense? That's why me and my mom clash. And me and every black person on the planet clash. Because I know this. Now you know it. See, I knew this. Now you know it. If they can't get you, they'll get your people to attack you. Oh, he ain't this. He ain't that. He ain't even got to investigate. I'm telling you. See what I'm saying? This is where black on black crime is seated and rooted in this. That's why all religions must be eradicated out the hearts of the new man and woman of the planet.
And as soon as he entered the house, he knew something was wrong with the closet.
There's a gut level, really strong feeling that there's something there. I remember saying, "You're in there."
So they cut through the plaster wall.
And the house was built and found some things in there that did some people, some very strange, possibly dark stuff.
Inside this sealed off, unvented void were items from all of the home's owners, including the Cranmers.
Some of my son's Lego toys. How they got in there, why, we don't know.
Exorcists helped the Cranmers fight back, but there were serious consequences.
My two sons were in psychiatric hospital. My wife spent several weeks in a psychiatric ward. There's a lot of nightmares.
Now, when I tell people who around me die or get sick, here's the confirmation. Here's the confirmation. People around you get sick, people around you die.